This conference
This
will
is,
now be
the work
recorded.
session of the Allendale Mayor and Council. Welcome to everyone who is joining us via video and teleconference. We ask that you please mute your phones at this time so as not to distract from the business of the meeting. There will be several opportunities for the public to be heard tonight, and we will advise you at the appropriate times. To begin the work session, we will start with the Open Public Meeting Act announcement. Michelle, if you could please read that.
Sure. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, the notice requirements have been satisfied. The meeting dates for the year are confirmed at the annual meeting, are posted on the public bulletin board in the municipal building, published in the record within the first 10 days of the new year, and copies are sent to the Ridgewood News and Star Ledger.
Great, thank you very much. And Michelle, if you could please conduct the roll call.
Councilwoman Homan.
Here.
Councilman O'Connell.
Here.
Councilman O'Toole.
Here.
Councilman Sasso.
Here.
Councilman Strouch.
Here.
And Councilwoman Wozinski.
Here.
And Mayor Bernstein.
Here, thank you. So we have 3 times that we open the meeting to the public. This is the first of those opportunities for the public to be heard. For anyone from the public wishing to speak, please state your name and address for the record.
Excuse me, everybody, put their phones on mute, please.
Yes, can everyone please put your phone on mute until such time as it's your turn to speak, because it'll permit the audio to occur. We won't get a lot of feedback. I see Mike O'Reilly who wishes to be heard. So if you could please state your name and address for the record.
Sure. My name is Mike O'Reilly, 85 Elmwood Avenue. Should I just go ahead? I don't hear anything.
Ari, you're on mute. Ari, you're on mute.
Yeah, well, because there's 2 microphones here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Could you hear me before?
No.
Okay, because it was through this microphone. Okay, Mr. O'Reilly, please, it's all yours.
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening, Mayor Bernstein and Council. Again, Mike O'Reilly, 85 Elmwood Avenue. The Democratic Club of Allendale, of which I am Vice President, sent a letter to the Mayor and Council dated April 20th, 2020, thanking the Mayor and the Council for adopting the ceremonial proclamation for LGBTQ Pride Month in June 2019, stating that every June will be LGBTQ Pride Month in Allendale. The proclamation acknowledged that while the LGBTQ rights movement has realized much progress, there is still more work to be done. The DCOA believes this more work should include showing our support and inclusivity by flying the pride flag in front of the Borough Hall and Library at 500 West Crescent Avenue during the month of June 2020 and every June thereafter. As a stigma-free community, displaying the pride flag would illustrate genuine support, care, and acceptance of LGBTQ residents in our borough, which is extremely important to model for our children. Furthermore, by displaying the pride flag during the month of June, Allendale would join our neighboring communities of Wyckoff, Glen Rock, Waldwick, and Ridgewood, to name a few, who already fly the pride flag in their towns and boroughs during the month of June. In that April 20th letter to Mayor Bernstein and Council, the Democratic Club of Allendale offered to donate a pride flag to the borough to be flown starting June 1st. We asked for a reply by May 15th so we could coordinate delivering that pride flag to Borough Hall in time to be raised. To date, the DCOA has not received a response from the Mayor and Council. So in conclusion, Mayor Bernstein, could you please provide us a response to our request tonight?
Great. So let me, just bear with me.
Sure.
Let me defer to my attorney, to the borough attorney. Do I have to go through and open the meeting to the public for anyone else, or can I address this?
You can address that.
Okay, great. Thank you. So thank you, Mr. O'Reilly. Thank you for the letter. I believe it's a proclamation that you had provided to us either last year or the year before, which I will be reading shortly. So and
I saw
you've been
that
very
on the schedule.
right. Yeah. So and with or without your letter, it was on the agenda. And I will proudly read it into the agenda or into the record. And certainly, I'm sure you can appreciate what's been how we've been trying to get through and all that's been going on. I know your letter was expressing gratitude to the mayor and council for what we've done. And I recognize that and I appreciated that.
Ari?
Yes.
I'm getting a double echo. I don't know if anybody else is.
We can't, yeah, it's really, we can't hear at all. It's really hard to hear. I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on over there. It's like a double echo, so your voice says it and then it like repeats it right after. Is everybody else
like we're at
hearing
Yankee Stadium?
But you're good now. So getting that other microphone away was good.
Turn the volume down on your iPad.
But then they said they couldn't hear me. Okay, let's try this microphone. Is this better?
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
Okay, great. Were you able to hear some of that, or should I say it all again? So in any event,
I think I caught most of it.
We thank you
The
for
Yankee
your
Stadium was
letter,
pretty good.
and we thank you for the positive aspects in your letter and thanking us for what we've been going through, today being an example of that. With respect to the flag, it has been the longstanding tradition or policy of the borough that the only flags to be displayed on borough property are the American flag, the New Jersey flag, and the MIA flag. And that policy predates my time as mayor, but it's been there for as long as I've been a part of the borough council. But as I've said to you, and I've said to many people, I know council members have said it as well, we are in absolute and full support with you, with the words of the proclamation. We, from our heart, are as inclusive of everyone and want to be as inclusive of everyone. And we, from the bottom of my heart, and I think I speak for the whole council, although I don't want to be presumptuous, but I'm certain I do, state that no one should be discriminated or harassed due to their sexual orientation. And we are so proud to be a stigma-free borough. And we take that with the utmost of seriousness and compassion. As I've discussed with the Chamber of Commerce, I've discussed with council members, and I've discussed with other residents who have come to us, but particularly with the Chamber of Commerce, if they were to do something downtown, in the downtown area, that I would be there as a resident, I would be there as the mayor, and I would be in full support of it. So I don't know if that's enough for you. I don't know if that answers you, but I say it with the utmost of compassion and heart that the proclamation that I'm going to read is not just words, they're feelings and emotions that I think they speak for the whole mayor and council.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate that. Just a quick follow-up. I think you said it was tradition. Is that something that if the town wanted to look into that and possibly change that through action, is that possible? Or is that just something that's kind of etched in stone, that it's just the American flag, the POW flag, and New Jersey flag? Is that
so
ever?
It's been the policy, the legal guidance that we've received. And Mr. Wiss, you feel free to speak. It's been the policy of the borough. So could Could that change? I guess it could. I mean, anything could change, but we felt that the policy was appropriate. Because if we open the door, then it becomes difficult to close the door. If we open the door, it is difficult as to what else we could be presented with.
And I think
So-
actually, Ari, that's the best point right there. It's as Ari said, it is absolutely not anything with any of us about, being exclusive. It's really all the other interest groups that are out there and that have come up to us that we have, said no to. So we always felt that the American flag encompasses everybody in all communities and is caring. And we all feel that way. Every single one of us on the borough and on the council, if you came up to us, you would realize how much we all are that way. And we're the ones that actually wrote the proclamation. It came from the council. It wasn't, and it was something that we wanted to do. So it's really that there is other interest groups out there. And then if we let one interest group, it is just a slippery slope, if you will, with a lot of other interest groups. And we have had other interest groups come up and we've had to say no to them. So, and it is in the advisement of our council that it is best to keep it as the American flag, and the American flag encompasses all groups, and that we would just really want to make it clear that we are inclusive of all groups in Allendale and everywhere.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that concern. Just I wonder how the other towns are handling that, because I'm sure they have the same concerns. But I absolutely know how you folks feel, and like I said, the proclamation was a fantastic document, so I truly appreciate that. And I thank you for taking the time to respond and let us know what the position of the town is. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. I truly appreciate you coming forward. Great. Thank you. Anyone else from the public wish to be heard?
Yes, Mayor, Mark Savastano.
Hi, Mark. I can't see you, but I can hear you.
Okay, I can see everybody. So in any case, my question is, how is this different than the decision to allow religious groups to display their information during religious holidays? If you don't want to show any preference to any special interest group. I have spoken out against the policy of allowing any display of religious preferences during the holidays. And I think this is the same type of issue. So I wonder how you think that's different.
So it's a good question. And I remember I was a council member. I was not the mayor when that decision was made. Ray, do you want to speak to the distinguishment there? Distinction?
They are both policy issues. Be they of historical dimension or not, the policy that has been adopted is that when it comes to the religious holidays, that is an appropriate display as long as it's equally balanced and doesn't show favoritism. And obviously that's been the subject outside of Allendale of many judicial interpretations that make that appropriate. But just like the mayor mentioned at the outset, when it comes to the flag displays, this is one of, and domestic violence is another one that comes to mind, where different groups champion very, very appropriate policies for society, non-discrimination and non-violence and the like. And that policy decision has been made historically by the governing body that the religious displays, as long as they are of equal dimension, are appropriate, but the flag flying has the potential not to indicate that any of those causes would be inappropriate for it, but that the way to express it in this instance is through proclamation and not through a flag flying.
All right. Okay. And Mark, were you able to hear Attorney Wiss's response?
Yes, very clearly. Thank you.
Okay, good. Thank you. Anyone else who wishes to be heard?
I would like to make a brief comment. Is that all right, Mayor?
Who's speaking?
Michael Buckley,
Okay.
live at 40 Dale Avenue.
Name and address, please.
Yeah, just give your name and address. I can't see you, so just give your name and address for the record.
Michael Buckley, 49 Dale Avenue.
Okay.
Okay. What it seems to me, one, that when it's said that this is a policy issue, what that means is that it's something that it's up to the mayor and council to decide. And so not that it's something that the mayor and council can't decide. And secondly, it seems to me that one of the things that is a little bit special about this particular issue is that the flag and emblem, the rainbow emblem has become a real part of the symbolism of this whole thing. And that it's indeed extremely appropriate that the mayor and council are making this proclamation, which is in itself very appropriate. But it seems to me that the flag can be viewed simply as another aspect of that to make it more visible in a way that is less true of most of the other things that might come up. And policy issues are difficult sometimes. And so to say that you can't do it because it's a policy is not really completely satisfying. Thank you.
And I understand that, and I hear that to say the policy, it has been the policy. I don't think we are inclined today to change that policy, but beyond that, I will restate and reiterate that I have spoken to residents, I've spoken to Chamber of Commerce, and I think council members have, to show our support. I've said last year to Chamber of Commerce, if there was a day in June with rainbow banners in downtown district, I would gladly be there, and as a resident and the mayor. So, this proclamation, I from my heart, I read, and I think I speak for all of us in doing that. So does it go far enough for you? Maybe not. Do you want to find fault with the words? I hear it. I mean, I understand that, but, and I appreciate you having your voice be heard. Okay. Anyone else from the public wish to be heard? Not seeing anyone, or not hearing anyone. I'm going to read into the record the proclamation tonight that recognizes June as LGBTQ Pride Month in the borough of Allendale. And for those, this is the proclamation, and it will be put on, a link to it will be put on our borough website. And if anyone wants a copy of it, we can, I think last year I sent a copy of it to one or two residents who wanted a copy. We'd be happy to make it available. Ceremonial proclamation for LGBTQ Pride Month. Whereas on June 28, 1969, at the Stonewall Inn in New York City, a courageous group of citizens resisted harassment and maltreatment, setting in motion a series of demonstrations which became known as the Stonewall Uprising and are widely considered to constitute the most important events leading up to the gay liberation movement and the modern fight for LGBTQ rights in America. And whereas the LGBTQ rights movement has realized much progress, there is more work to be done. As long as the promise of equality for all remains unfulfilled, all Americans are affected. If we can work together to advance the principles upon which our nation was founded, every American will benefit. And whereas all people deserve to live with dignity and respect, free from fear and violence, and be protected against discrimination, regardless of their gender identity or sexual orientation. During LGBTQ Pride Month, we celebrate the proud legacy LGBTQ individuals have woven into the fabric of our nation. We honor those who have fought to perfect our union, and we continue our work to build a society where every child grows up knowing that their country supports them, is proud of them, and has a place for them exactly as they are. And whereas Allendale promotes a proud, stigma-free community, accepting people from all walks of life. Now, therefore, we, the mayor and council of the Borough of Allendale, New Jersey, do hereby proclaim June 2020 as LGBTQ Pride Month in the Borough of Allendale. Signed by me, Mayor Ari Bernstein, May 28th, 2020. Great. Moving next to the agenda review. Michelle, are we going to pull, we're going to pull the part about the minutes, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we're not going to be approving the minutes at this time. We will circulate them in the next 2 weeks, and we will approve these minutes, or the minutes from the last meeting, at our next meeting. Next, we have introduction of ordinance 20-10, an ordinance establishing chapter 181 of the Code of the Borough of Allendale entitled Short-Term Rentals, which is being introduced tonight. Councilman Sasso, would you like to speak to this?
Sorry, I'm a little slow on the mute button. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, hear you loud and clear.
Okay, great. So yes, we're going to introduce this tonight, something that's been discussed for quite a while. And we resurrected it recently. So it's pretty short and sweet. It is something that many people have raised concerns to me about personally, and some other members of council. It is something that has been done in other neighboring communities, and the idea is to protect the fabric of a quiet family town.
Okay.
And that's it for now.
Good, thank you. Ray, so this is,
Yeah, and I guess I can add to what the councilman said more substantively. The purpose of the regulation is to prohibit short-term rentals of dwellings for a period of 30 days or less.
Right.
That's the substance of the ordinance itself.
okay. And then,
Thank you, Ray. I forgot the most important part, what it is.
right. So, Ray, in terms of the motion that I want to frame, should I discuss it now?
I think so. I think it'd be
Okay.
appropriate time.
So if I can have your attention before I go through the consent agenda, I do want to make a statement, and then I'm going to be requesting that a motion is framed during our regular session, but I thought now would be a good time to do it. And I hope and I think, but I'm sure I have support of the council on this. We want to be very supportive of our businesses. I've been saying it in the mayor's report. We've been supporting it. We know that they have been hurt hard. They've been closed down. They've been permitted to open under very restrictive circumstances. And when the lights go on, to what extent they're going to be able to do business. And those restrictions are still in place, and we're waiting for phase 2, et cetera. During this period of time, we've been discussing ways to help the businesses other than just be patrons. So we have been discussing the business's ability to use signage and banners to show that they're open, in what capacity, and that when the governor permits them to open more fully, to utilize outdoor eating, to eat outside, which is currently governed by and restricted by some of our ordinances. So we've been discussing how to let the businesses expand during this brief period of time. So I would like to frame a motion that I hope someone can someone can second, that will do several things. It will allow for the relaxation of our ordinances with respect to signage and banners from now until Labor Day, so that the banners the signage can show and demonstrate that the businesses are open. Would it be appropriate to read the specifics as to what I would like the motion to say, or should we pull?
I can try to frame it if you would like, Mayor.
Okay,
I think that the motion that you were looking for would be to allow for the relaxation through September 8th, which would be the Tuesday after Labor Day. So a motion to allow for the relaxation through September 8th of any and all municipal ordinances that would prohibit signs or banners on property located within the borough where the signs are for the purpose of indicating that a business is open or indicating change of hours or days of operation, where the sign or banner indicates that the business is offering delivery or curbside pickup, or where the signs or banners are offering support to frontline workers, essential workers, or expressing support for those affected by COVID-19.
Right.
And I think that the purpose of doing it by way of motion is to allow on a present basis, if approved by the governing body, of that relaxation. And I think that we would then at the next meeting, in a more formal sense, codify tonight's motion in an actual resolution.
okay. So for purposes of today.
Excuse me, Mayor.
Yes.
Mayor, do we want to relax the outdoor dining ordinance as well?
Yeah, so that's just a little trickier because we can't do it because the state doesn't permit it. But what I would like to do, Ed, and to your point, is to direct Attorney Ray Wiss to prepare for the next meeting a more formal resolution on the ability of Allendale businesses to allow for outdoor dining.
When allowed?
Outside dining, when and once permitted by the regulations of the state.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Great. So, and then Ray.
So in essence, the first one on the signs or banners would be a present motion, which would take effect immediately upon passage, which would relax the rules for the purposes stated.
Right.
And the second one, with respect to that most recent dialogue, would be a resolution which would be on your next agenda, which would say, subject to executive order or guidance from the state, that there will be a relaxation of borough ordinances to the extent that they restrict outdoor dining.
That's right. Right. And then I would request that whether I can do it now or I have to wait until the next meeting, I would to direct Administrative Officer Ron Kistner to work with our building department, et cetera, to effectuate the motion and the resolutions.
Yeah, and I think even as to the resolution on outdoor dining, it would be appropriate to begin that process in anticipation of adoption of the resolution and an amendment of state guidance that would allow for that, so that the borough would be in a position then to immediately implement when that state guidance is forthcoming.
Great. Okay. So does everyone understand the motion that I'm requesting be framed when we get to the regular session?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Anyone have any concerns? No. Okay.
Good. And I think you need to bring the work session to a closure.
Okay. So we are at 8 o'clock. So I would request we will close the work session, open up the regular session, and then we can go back if we need to do agenda review. But let me request a motion to close the work session.
So moved, Scott.
Second?
Second O'Connell.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Great. Thank you very much. Okay. Welcome back.
And since I'll just, before we go through the protocol, since the only matter really other than the consent agenda is the introduction of ordinance, you can do the agenda review right in advance of the consent agenda itself.
Okay, good. Welcome back, everyone. The time is 8:01. This is May 28th, the 2020 regular session of the Allendale Mayor and Council. Welcome everyone who's joining us via video and teleconference. At this time, I please ask the public to please mute their phones so as not to distract from the business of the meeting. There'll be several opportunities during this meeting for the public to speak. We will advise you at the appropriate times. Michelle, please read the Open Public Meetings Act announcement.
Sure. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, the notice requirements have been satisfied. The meeting dates for the year are confirmed at the annual meeting, are posted on the public bulletin board in the municipal building, published in the record within the first 10 days of the new year, and copies are sent to the Ridgewood News and Star Ledger.
Okay, so I'm going to ask us to all rise to salute the flag, but once we're done saluting the flag, I'm going to ask us to remain standing for a brief moment of silence for the passing of Richard Dick Van Houten. Thank you very much.
I pledge allegiance to the
to the
flag
flag of the United States of America, and to the republic
The republic
for
for
which
which
it
it
stands,
stands,
nation,
one nation,
under
One
God,
nation,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
never take
liberty,
no justice for all.
liberty, for all. Justice.
Thank you very much, everyone. I would have, had time permitted, I would have mentioned that in the work session. So that, but with the dialogue that we had from the open part of the meeting, we ran late. So as many of you or most of you know, and anyone who wants to speak as to the accomplishments or the wonder, just everything that the Van Houten family has done, feel free. It's not my stage. You could not overstate what he has done, what he did, his contributions to the borough, the family, the legacy, Crestwood Lake, Crestwood Park. He was a councilman. The family, the history, the legacy, the heart. He deserves more than a moment of silence, but I'm not sure what else we could do, but maybe we can discuss that. He was devoted to the town. He was devoted to his family. He met his wife Betty through a blind date on the beach of Crestwood Lake, and they were married in 1951. He was an active volunteer fireman and a town councilman. He built residential developments in the town, over 100 homes, many which bear his daughters' names: Lee Court, Bonnie Way, Lori Lane, and Sherry Drive. He was instrumental in the design of Northern Highlands Regional High School. In 1971, the Borough of Allendale purchased the Van Houten's 70-acre Crestwood Lake property, preserving this beautiful treasure for generations to come. In September 2016, the Allendale Mayor and Council charitably dedicated the Red Barn Pavilion as the Van Houten Pavilion for his family's many contributions to this community. Evoking immense joy and gratitude from Dick, which lasted through his last visit on May 9th, 2020. So I could go on. If any of you would like to speak as to, you can, but he was too important and he did too much for us not to take this moment and thank him.
I mean, I can just chime in a little bit as, kind of being in charge of Crestwood Lake all these years. I always felt like Dick Van Houten was kind of overlooking my, me and on my shoulder. He used to come to our council meetings and always talk about the water quality. And then when we decided to change the water treatment to a more organic, natural, way of treating it, I was like, oh gosh, what is Dick Van Houten gonna think? And his daughters, who's our neighbor, Liz and I neighbor, and his granddaughters actually live in town still. They and his son, they go to Crestwood Lake, and they're so grateful that the borough and Allendale has really done a beautiful job keeping his legacy alive with the lake and naming the Van Houten Pavilion or the Red Barn after their dad. And that swing set, I'm just going to have this on the record right now, that swing set that is there was there since the 1930s. Dick Van Houten put it in. It can never go away. Every single photo you see of Crestwood Lake from the 30s, and it's all different angles. And sometimes it's hard to get a grasp of what angle you're looking at because the parking lots were all over, like where our fields are now used to all be parking lots when it used to be open to the whole entire state of New Jersey. But that swing set is still there. It is made of solid. Our DPW actually crashed into it and it still didn't knock it down. So it's years ago, not this crew, the old crew.
Right.
No, seriously, it's I'll get in trouble for that. No, it's wonderful. They've left a wonderful legacy for Allendale, and Crestwood Lake is and forever will be the town jewel of Allendale.
That's great. Thank you.
Dick Van Houten.
Thank you.
Peace.
Michelle, please conduct the roll call.
Sure. Councilwoman Homan,
Here.
Councilman O'Connell,
Here.
Councilman O'Toole,
Here.
Councilman Sasso,
Here.
Councilman Strouch,
Here.
Councilwoman Wilsinski,
Here.
and Mayor Bernstein.
Here, thank you very much. So skip over the part of approval of minutes. Next is public comment on agenda items only. So is there anyone in the public who wishes to be heard on agenda items?
Mayor Mark Savastano, just a reminder to the participants who are not turning off the microphones, it's making some feedback. I see several people who are, Linda Garofalo, for one, who hasn't turned off her mic.
Okay,
Yeah,
no
that's
public shaming on our
yeah,
students.
but that's Michelle Ryan, our clerk. So she's speaking.
Oh, okay.
Are you able to hear us?
I hear you, yes, but occasionally I'm hearing feedback from open microphones.
Right. Yeah. We're working on it.
I think the problem is that the audio from your iPad is picking up.
Good here.
Oh, so
I can turn.
I think it may be me. So, but my microphone is off.
Right, but it's still going through the dais microphone.
Okay, so we'll try this. Okay, continuing. Introduction of ordinance 20-10, which we already discussed in our work session. So I would request the council member to make a motion to introduce and pass on first reading ordinance 2010 and set the hearing for June 11, 2020 at 8 p.m. as soon thereafter in council chambers of the Allendale Municipal Building.
I would like to offer this on behalf of the Land Use Committee.
Great, second.
Second, Stroud.
Thank you, Jim. Michelle, please read the title of the ordinance and conduct a roll call.
This is ordinance 20-10, an ordinance establishing chapter 181 of the Code of the Borough of Allendale entitled Short-Term Rentals. Councilwoman Homan,
Yes, thanks.
Councilman O'Connell,
Yes.
Councilman O'Toole,
Yes.
Councilman Sasso,
Yes.
Councilman Strouch,
Yes, sorry about that.
it's okay. Councilwoman Wilsinski.
Yes.
Great, thank you. So before we get to the consent agenda, I would now like to request that a motion be made that I referenced in the work session to allow for the relaxation through September 8th, which is the day after Labor Day, of any and all municipal ordinances that would prohibit signs or banners on property located within the borough to assist in, as Attorney Ray Wish said, regarding their hours of operation and how they conduct business, et cetera. So Ray, do I need to read that in, or is that?
Just for clarity, the three items that were mentioned were signs or banners indicating that a business is open or indicating change in hours or days of operation, signs or banners indicating that said business is offering delivery or curbside pickup, signs or banners offering support to frontline workers, essential workers, or expressing support for those affected by COVID-19.
Great. So I would request a motion to allow for same.
So moved.
Mayor,
Great. Second?
Holman,
Great, thank you. Ray, the separate motion for,
Need a roll call on that one.
okay, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Homan,
yes.
Councilman O'Connell,
Yes.
Councilman O'Toole,
yes.
Councilman Sasso,
Yes.
Councilman Strouch,
Yes,
Councilwoman Wilsinski.
Yes.
Great, thank you. Ray, do I need a separate motion for the outside dining?
No, I'd say that's directory to me and to the operations administrator to one, prepare the resolution, or in this case, a formal resolution,
Right.
and to take all necessary preparatory steps.
Good, so please do. We've discussed it, you understand that there were 6 voices all saying yes, and they all wanted to make the motion at once. So I think we have full support. We are absolutely in support of our businesses, and if whatever we can do where it makes sense, and this is one of those steps.
Of course.
So, great, thank you. Next is the consent agenda, and since I did not get to go over the consent agenda during the work session, I will briefly go over it prior to voting on it. We have approval 20-136. We have approval of the bill list. I've gone over it. It's acceptable. Matt, Amy?
Yep.
Great. Thank you. 20-137 is to approve the waiver of the 2020 compost permit fee for the Allendale Garden Club. We truly appreciate the Allendale Garden Club for maintaining and keeping the borough's garden areas. They make it look so beautiful. And so this is the little that we can, this is what we can do for them, is to waive the fee. So we gladly, for auditing purposes, we approve this waiver each year.
And just so you know, they maintain the town clock, they maintain the post office, they maintain the library, and they maintain the strip by Borough Hall.
Right, that's right.
And I
Thank you.
saw somebody maintaining the Hamilton tree down by Acme too.
They might even do that, and actually they go to the Fell House a lot as well, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Good. Next, 20-138 is approve amendment of Crestwood Lakes rules and regulations, and to comply with the governor's executive orders regarding social distancing and other requirements to open the lake this year, we've had to amend our rules and regulations. So Amy, I'd welcome you to speak to this if you're so inclined.
Yeah, sure. We just wanted to make sure that every resident and every lake member was aware of social distancing guidelines. So these rules and regulations are, we have 2 separate ones. So we have our regular rules and regulations, but some of the other ones, don't apply. For example, things like, you have to park your bike in the bike rack because we have to take the bike rack away. Rules and regulations about picnicking, we had to take away because there will be no picnicking. So we just modified our regular rules and regulations, but then we actually have a whole other set of rules and regulations for social distancing that all the members will be required to read and sign off on before they register for the lake.
Okay, good, thank you. Authorize 20-139, authorize 2020 Crystal Lake salaries. As we've been indicating, we're thrilled that the lake is going to open, or we're scheduled to open on June 20th, and that our lake management team will be returning. Director Tom Viscardi, Assistant Director Kevin Hughes, and Leighton Yates, as well as Events Communications Coordinator Tierney Benvenuto. So thank you to all of them, and especially to Amy, Councilwoman Wazinski, for their efforts to make this season happen. Amy, would you like to add to that?
Nope, I'll
Okay.
talk about it a little bit more in my committee report.
Okay, great. 20-140, authorize the submission of fiscal year 21 municipal aid grant application and execution of a grant contract with the New Jersey DOT for Phase 4 of West Allendale Avenue Streetscape Project. As we've reported in the past, the borough has received $662,000 in grant funds from the NJDOT for phases 1, 2, and 3 of West Allendale Avenue Streetscape Project. This resolution authorizes Bruno Associates to submit an application for Phase 4 of the project.
And this will enable us to make the project go more smoothly. The project is going to be obviously very expensive because we're redoing all of downtown. We are redoing all the pavers in downtown, replacing the street trees, replacing the garbage cans, replacing the lights, the conduits for the lights. So in order to make this a smooth transition, we are applying for all these grants in a row.
Great.
And we're very, very pleased that we are getting the grants.
So that's our consent agenda. Any questions about that before we put it to a vote? No? Okay, I would request a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved, Holman.
Great, second? I'm sorry?
O'Toole.
O'Toole, okay, great. Thank you. Michelle, please conduct a roll call.
Councilwoman Homan,
Yes.
Councilman O'Connell,
Yes.
Councilman O'Toole,
Yes.
Councilman Sasso,
I'm going to abstain on 20-139 and vote yes on the balance.
okay, Councilman Strouch,
Yes.
and Councilwoman Wilsinski.
Same, I'm going to abstain on 20-139 and consent on the balance.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any unfinished business? Any new business? Committee reports. Councilman O'Connell, would you like to give your report?
Thank you, Mayor. Sure. As of to date, the Allendale Police Department has had 6,555 calls. 911 calls were 595. Fire department calls were 47, and AVAC was 151. And for the police department, training is still canceled until further notice. Unfortunately, I missed our OEM conference call on Wednesday, but I did get to speak with our director, Scott Zieber, and Amy and Tom were on the phone call, and they were explaining about social distancing, and I'm sure Councilman Wilzinski will go through that with her update as well. And on June 2nd at 5 p.m., we're going to have a shorter version of our public safety meeting. Emails were sent out. We're going to do that at Borough Hall and distance ourselves. It just won't be the full public safety members. It's a select few just to get it rolling, and then hopefully down the road we can expand that. That's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Councilman Sasso, would you like to give your report?
Thank you. We have not met since the last meeting, the committee. I don't think, unless I have my dates right. We are introducing one ordinance tonight. As we discussed in the work session, the short-term rental ordinance was read, or will be read. And I'm also working on, with some input from residents, revamping and redoing some elements of our noise ordinance, which many people find confusing and difficult to enforce. And those are the highlights.
Great. Thank you very much. Councilwoman Homan?
Sure. The Water Committee had a meeting this morning with Matt McDonald to review the preliminary report for our PFAS feasibility study. It was a great use of time, and I feel that the final report, which still is work to do, is going to be valuable in understanding our options for the future. Allendale has provided quality water to our residents via our own wells and via purchase from Suez, and we're being proactive so as to be able to continue to do so in the future. As an update on our current system, I'm so appreciative of the work of Jeff Pickenich from Suez. He's been working amazingly well with Lane Simon from our DPW team, along with Ron Kistner. And I would say is this period in our relationship with, I'm just totally grateful for all the planning and the execution that's gone on in the past few months. Our next official water committee meeting is June 16th, but we have several work group meetings set up for next week. There's just, an ongoing process in just keeping things running smoothly and looking ahead. I do also want to alert all of you, anybody on the council, but as well as the public, in case they haven't gone on to the USRA website, the Upper Saddle River Allendale Coalition, because there's a really neat program that's being presented. It's wellness and motivation, and the program talks specifically about perseverance, resiliency, personal identity, vision, self-confidence, and all these things that are critical aspects of mental health. And it's available online, and it's available to students as well as parents or anybody through June 30th. So you can go to the USRA website, and I believe also that it will be up on our Facebook page also. And if anybody has any questions, they can certainly reach out to myself or anybody on the USRA. In accordance with our policy manual and striving to be as ethical as possible, I did want to disclose that my youngest child, who's an engineering major, has applied and received an official offer for a summer 2020 internship at Van Cleef Engineering. And this is the engineering that currently works for the borough of Allendale. I do not anticipate she'll be doing any work within the borough of Allendale during the summer experience. But I have talked and confirmed with our borough attorney that there is no conflict, but that disclosure is appropriate. And then lastly, I do feel like I want to.
Liz,
let me just,
yes?
on that point, just indicate that it was appreciated by me and I think by the borough that Councilwoman Homan brought that forward and consistent with the policy. As she referenced it, even you want to always avoid conflicts, but also even the appearance. So to raise it publicly is consistent with your policy manual, even though I don't see that there is any conflict as defined in the manual. I think it is appropriate, and the councilwoman was certainly willing to be forthcoming and put that on the record. If there are any issues in the future, which are at all problematic in terms of that relationship, and I'm not anticipating any, they'll be addressed as they occur.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you. Just lastly, and probably other people may want to say things too, but I am going to say thank you to everybody that worked together for the video for Memorial Day. I felt like it was hard not to be together in person with all the residents of Allendale to express our remembrance and gratitude to the many people who gave their lives in service to our great country. So, it was nice to at least have the video. I also wanted to just point out that Joanne Hart put together a wonderful set of photos, some of them brought by Steve Sasso, on each of the Allendale young men. So if people haven't had a chance to look at that work, the link is on the borough information, but it's also on the Allendale Historical Society. So I encourage you to do so. So that's it. Thanks.
Great. Thank you very much. Amy, would you like to give your report?
Sure.
As we discussed, Crestwood Lake will be opening on June 20th. This was definitely a tricky decision. We agonized over it, and then when the governor gave the okay that beaches were open, we kind of all put our heads together and came up with a social distancing plan. We worked tirelessly to have this plan, as buttoned up as possible, knowing that it could change any day and be as fluent as possible. Tom Viscardi, really our lake director, was amazing in really working hard to make this work for all of Allendale and all of our members of Crestwood Lake. He's also meeting with his managers on Saturday to review it again, so it may be tweaked again. As it was mentioned, we did meet with the OEM team, so we went through the whole entire plan with them, with in mind, to keep the safety of our residents and the safety of our employees always in the forefront, and watching the science as it changes, as we learn more. But I think we can actually do it. We have a beautiful, vast space, and we're so lucky that we actually have that we can actually social distance people and still have lots of space for them to enjoy. So I think it's really important for the lake to be open for mental health, for people's exercise, just like we strive so hard to keep Crestwood Park open during this whole pandemic. So we're hoping, I have faith in the Allendale people and the residents that they're all going to do the right thing, and then we're going to have a great season at Crestwood Lake.
Hey, I have to interrupt Amy and just say the coordination that Amy has done in having Tom Viscardi meeting, with other, lake and pool groups and all that sort of stuff, being the second to Amy, it is, I just can't thank you enough, because, these discussions wouldn't happen without you initiating them. So thank you.
But we're doing this for Dick Van Houten. 220, 230 is still going on. There's a lot going on now with the market, with COVID-19, but we are still pushing through. We just met with the chairman of our redevelopment firm, and we are moving forward. And kudos to my partner in crime, Liz Homan, for completely helping us through this. I mean, it has been just, a whirlwind. There's so many components to this project. Much more, vast and complicated with our fair share housing and just one thing after another. But we're steady with the right thing to do. We are steady in the fact that we know that this is the right thing for Allendale, and we're moving forward. We have an excellent redeveloper that we are working with, so we're confident that we will get this done and push forward. And I could not do it without you, Liz Homan. In line to what Mayor Bernstein was talking about with helping our businesses, there is a new bill that's out there that I think we should all keep our eyes on, put out by Hala Shapizi, that is trying to introduce a street fair model for the businesses to open. So, for some of the businesses that the patrons cannot actually enter the business, some type of a street fair model where they can potentially have some of their merchandise outside. We attended a chamber meeting last week or the week before, and this is actually something that they brought up as well. So I'm glad to see that a bill is going forward, as well as relaxing our blue law laws for at least the time being, and being able to let these merchants open on Sunday for a certain amount of time. The public hearing for we have a Bergen County open space grant for trails that we announced in March. The public hearing for that is going to be on our council meeting for June 11th, and that ad will be going in the paper tomorrow. And then we are actually going to be opening up the bids for the DOT grant that we were talking about for the streetscape project on June 5th. So that's another exciting project that's going on in Allendale. And that's it for now.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Thank you, Amy. It was great. Councilman O'Toole?
My report is going to be short and sweet. After the introduction of the budget, the Finance Committee is kind of catching our breaths a little bit, keeping an eye on all the bills, and we're scheduling a meeting for next week. It's looking like it's going to be next Thursday. So that's all I got for this evening.
Okay.
It was a lot last time.
It was.
Councilman Strouch?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Bernstein. My report will also be brief, but I'd like to start by mentioning the Memorial Day virtual ceremony It was an honor to be part of the taping of it, and I want to thank all the people that were involved in the pre-production of getting everything together. Not just the people, but the wreaths and the flowers, and it was a well done production. And on Monday, when the video was released and I watched it, tear came to my eye a couple of times because it really was a wonderful production and it moved me. I then forwarded the link to my mother and my brother and sisters, and within an hour, my mother texted me back saying that she started crying halfway through. So I can only imagine that my mother and I were not the only two Allendale residents who appreciated all the work that went into it, and it was a shining example of Allendale's commitment to its fallen heroes. Having said that, the DPW department continues to be, battling with plethora of curveballs in addition to the COVID crisis, various contractors having issues with equipment and delays that, fires pop up and are put out by either Ron or one of his team. And it shows that there's a commitment by all the DPW staff to continually and repeatedly rise to the occasion when these problems arise. And things are taken care of, maybe a day later, but they are taken care of. And Allendale still looks like a model community. So I want to thank each and every one of the DPW staff for their continued commitment to Allendale. You mentioned, Ari, the garden club, which was given a compost permit for free. And it's a small price to pay for the hours and hours that they have given and have over the decades. And they are just one of a couple dozen shining examples of the commitment, the volunteer spirit that Allendale has enjoyed for decades, and that the current volunteers build upon as they continue to keep Allendale a little Mayberry in the middle of one of the densest populated counties in New Jersey, a county that has more people than 3 states. And one of those shining examples is Mark Savastano, who is one of the founding members of the Recycling Advisory Committee. Mark and Ed O'Connell and I had a 30-minute conference call today in the hopes of continuing to find ways of improving our recycling program. And I'm going to let Mark, at the end of the meeting, when it's open to the public, I'm going to let Mark give a little summary of our conversation. And with that, I'm going to end my report. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Jim. I will give my report. On Monday, as we celebrated Memorial Day and we honored our fallen heroes through our virtual remembrance. I cannot tell you how honored I was truly to be a part of that. Everyone came together, everyone worked together, everyone did for all the right reasons. The amount of community work and no, I'll take care of it. Let me do it. No one said no. My heartfelt appreciation to Colette Mather and the Brookside Band on very, very, very short notice. I mean, I can't tell you how short that notice was and what she put together, and she got the photos and she put it, that was phenomenal. I mean, as Jim said, I teared up. I watched it 5-6 times. Periodically throughout all of it, I would tear up. Joe Chinichi, commander of the VFW, and the VFW being there. I can't tell you what an honor it was to stand 6 feet apart, but with these people and to work with Joe. I just truly so thankful and appreciative to be a part of it. To the first responders and to the council to come, to do our part. I think everyone did it right. To Joe Hart for that emotional rendition of Taps. I mean, that was one, and when I watched it the final time, with the monument in the background, where truly, you know, tears in my eyes. Ron Kistner, for all of his work behind the scenes, getting it done. I mean, could not have been done without him. Lastly, for the near heroic, if not heroic efforts of Tyler Yacarino and John Gill to get it right. I mean, we're not talking about ABC production. We're not talking about, you know, we're talking about two uniquely talented and gifted people coming up with phones, put it together. The video was great. We could not have done it without you. Truly, truly appreciative. To the public, if you haven't seen it, go to the website, allendale.nj.gov, to watch it. Moving forward, as the summer begins, we're hopeful that routines will start to look pretty much, get back to normal somewhat. As you can see, I'm waiting for the hair salons to open up so I can get a haircut. We're hoping that's part of phase 2. But the trends have been positive. And in Allendale, to date, we have 68 positive cases of COVID-19. As we've been reporting every week, we are on the lower scale of the spectrum in Bergen County. And that's largely because we do our part. We know what we have to do, and we've been doing it. The following testing centers remain open: Bergen Community College, Bergen Newbridge Medical Center, Rite Aid in Waldwick. Stress. This pandemic has been a stressful time for a lot of people, and it's affected a lot of people in many different ways. If you or someone you know may have been struggling with heightened mental health issues during this time, if you, a neighbor, or someone you know feels isolated or anxious, there are resources available. CBH Care, Wellness, and Support Center, located in Hackensack, is Bergen County's urgent care center for mental health services. There's a walk-in center. Please call. This will be posted on our borough website in terms of information. So to the public, there's help available, and we've been reporting this in the weekly report. The restrictions on social distancing remain in place as outlined by Governor Murphy's executive order. He's outlined the road back. We are still in stage 1. We're anxiously awaiting stage 2. Some restrictions on low risk activities such as parks and beaches have been relaxed. Non-essential construction, curbside retail, elective surgeries have resumed with appropriate safeguards. I encourage everyone to continue to be mindful and to stay safe during social distancing guidelines. Unfortunately, the past couple weekends, it's been problematic. I know there's cabin fever and people want to be out. The kids are a little rambunctious. They've been cooped up, but we have to run through the tape, and they're doing it. The restrictions are there for our health. Any concerns regarding large gatherings or violations should be directed to the police department. And on that note, thank you to Chief Sherb and the entire police department for all of their continued efforts during this very trying time. The primary election has been moved to July 7th. June 16th is the deadline for all new voter registration for the primary election. And our clerk's office will be open for registration until 9 p.m. that night. Do I have that right, Michelle?
Yeah. Okay.
And as we get more information from the state and the county, we will pass that on and we'll share it with you, and we'll post it on our website. Celery Farm is still closed. People have asked me if we could open it. We would like to open it. The narrow passageways make it problematic, but understand it's, we're aware, we have discussions with the marsh warden, and when it makes sense to do it, we will open it. Crestwood Park is open only for passive recreation. The playground, the tennis courts, and the fields are closed, and the lake is not open for swimming yet. I repeat, the lake is not open for swimming. So it might be tempting. The water's not treated, it's closed. So you can't go in, your children can't go in.
Only skipping, no. I was gonna say only skinny dipping.
So,
it was a joke,
It was a joke, it was a joke. Please let the record reflect, that was a joke for me.
And by the way, there are no lifeguards up there. Let's not forget that.
Right, and I had this conversation, OEM, we had this conversation with the police yesterday. They have been giving warnings, but they're inclined to do more than just give warnings at this point. So you don't want to face criminal charges or whatever the charges would be. You don't want your children to do that. So this is really the cautionary tale. Tell your children, everyone, the lake is closed until it's open, which we think will be June 20th. While remote learning remains in place through the end of the year, Governor Murphy announced that in-person graduation ceremonies will be open to take place beginning on July 6th. We are awaiting decisions from Allendale and Northern Highlands schools, but with proper precautions in place, compliance with social distancing, it could be a special opportunity for all 2020 graduates to receive the recognition that they've worked so hard for and deserve. So we hope to do something for them, whether it's attend their ceremony in July or to give them proclamations. But we know it's been a real curveball to them, whether they're 8th graders, whether they're graduating Hillside to Brookside or Brookside to Highlands or Highlands on to this has been a curveball for them. They've missed out on a lot, and we'll do what we can to give them our support. Compost Center on West Crescent Avenue is open to current permit holders. A permit can apply through the website. Payment can be dropped off at Borough Hall in the mail slot. The Compost Center is open Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Thursday and Friday from 9 to 2:30, Saturday from 9 to 3. Please note that the borough employees are not available to assist with the unloading of materials. So use your judgment when you come in. I'm happy to announce that Suburban Disposal has notified the borough that townwide metal pickup has resumed, and that was yesterday and today, right? And if you missed your chance to do it, they'll be back again next month, Wednesday, June 24th. All metal should be left at the curb and should be clearly visible. And you should optimally put it out at 6 o'clock the night before. We've also transitioned into twice a week garbage pickup, and the full schedule of pickup dates is listed on the website. Finally, I know you guys are happy to hear that word, finally. Allendale census response is now at 75.6%. So we're about 75% done. 25% have not responded. We're almost there. Everyone should do their part to make sure that Allendale is fully counted and fully represented. That is the end of my report. Now, Ray?
I can be very brief. In addition to working with Mr. Kistner on personnel and negotiation matters, I think everything else we've been involved in since the last meeting is either reflected on the agenda or has been referred to in the report to the council committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Michelle?
I have nothing to report. Thank you.
Okay. Ron?
I have nothing, Mayor.
Okay. Just looking whether I need to open it up one last time.
Yes.
Yes.
One last time, open it up. Public comment? Anyone wish to be heard?
Good evening, Mayor. It's Mark Savastano.
Hi, Mark.
Hi. With regard to your comment about haircuts, I think I'm about a week away from a man bun, so.
It's not a good look, Mark, I promise you.
I had an excellent conversation with Councilman Steve Sasso regarding the noise ordinance, and I want to thank him for hearing out my concerns. And also with regard to the conversation with Jim Strouch and Ed O'Connell with regard to the advisory committee for recycling. I wanted to give some background about what we discussed. And I see that my new neighbor, Frank Paparazzi, is on this meeting call, and I want to make a special thank you to him for his efforts to keep recyclables out of the dumpsters during the construction of the 2 homes here on Freeland Place. On several occasions, I saw him fishing the recycling out, and he made a special effort to keep, especially cardboard, which I know is a money item for the town, and that's important. With regard to styrofoam, I just wanted to bring to everyone's attention the letter that I had gotten back from Sean Ferguson of Polymolding, which is the recycler for styrofoam, and the information that he gave about recycling between 25 and 30,000 pounds 4 to 6 times a year shows that it's an item that is indeed in demand, and that we can make an effort to do something right for the environment. Also, other municipalities around us that are already participating with this company are Hawthorne, Washington Township, Oakland, Fairlawn, Morridale. So Jim and Ed and I had spoken about the possibility of teaming up with them for collection purposes and bringing the recycling together, and also perhaps holding joint collection efforts in order to get the public aware and to increase the amount that we would collect.
Great.
Great, thank you.
Any sort of recycling I love.
Right, and so, Mark, just in terms of the fact that you're working with all, different council members and they all have their individual departments. I mean, I think this is a day like today or a council meeting like today, what a great council there is. I mean, everyone, there are no slackers. We have a great team. Everyone does their part. It's really the finished product, what we all collectively do for Allendale. Couldn't be more thrilled to work with all 6 of them. And the fact that you have different matters that come before different council members, I think that it reflects it. So your statement is, I think, sounds volumes to me. And we also have great people in Allendale, because you make comment to people doing the right thing, and that's what Amy spoke to about Crestwood Lake, that we can do this, right? If we know what the rules are and we know why they are, and they know that they're for the greater good or for the benefit of Allendale finds a way to do it. So I think your public comment was a great way to go out. Anyone else wish to be heard?
Hi, Mayor. Frank Paparosi.
Hi, Frank.
Place. First, Amy and Liz, thanks for your extra efforts with the lake and getting us one step closer to some normalcy around here. And I wanted to thank Mark for that comment. I have been working hard to try and keep those projects as efficient as possible. And I logged in tonight. I spoke to Councilman Sasso earlier in regard to the new ordinance, and I just wanted to commend the whole council. A lot of towns did move forward with that already, in that kind of Airbnb realm. It's just any step that makes our community less transient, I think it makes it safer. So I just wanted to thank you all for your efforts there. Thank you.
Great, Frank.
Thanks for coming in.
Yes, certainly appreciate your comments and all that you've done as well. Absolutely. Anyone else wish to be heard? Not seeing anyone or hearing anyone, we will close the meeting to the public, and I would request a motion to adjourn the regular session.
So moved.
Pick anyone, Michelle.
Jim and Amy. Jim first, Amy second, and then all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night, Michelle.
Bye.
Good night, Tatiana.